Morning neighbors, welcome back to the channel. This is Anarchy in the 603 and you are back for yet another postcard from your friendly neighborhood anarchist. Absolutely nobody's favorite D-tier production quality, lightly edited, off-dome dispatch from wherever I am right now to wherever you happen to be sitting. Currently, I'm out in my green home because it's raining. The green home is a greenhouse where we store our stuff out of the weather and store ourselves when the weather gets bad. Doing a little bit of knitting while the sun shines, and I've been thinking today about a lot of things, but first off I want to start with the war on empathy. I've been hearing people going on, Elon Musk was one of them, going on about how empathy is a bad thing and we shouldn't care about people. Don't be fooled and tricked into thinking that, you know, you should care about how other people are doing or whatever. And now all of a sudden we are being asked to empathize with the plight of, the richest man on earth. We're being asked to empathize with the plight of people who voted for the suffering of others and who are now suffering themselves. And they're like, well, leftists, aren't you the people with empathy and kindness? And you're supposed to be like the people of, morals and ethics and blah, blah, blah. And well, this is to the facts don't care about your feelings crowd. You've been not caring about our feelings for a long time. And now you want us to care about yours. Only just a couple of weeks ago, we were being told not to care. And now we're being told we should care? Which is it? In the words of JC, is it Uchiwali or is it one mic? You can't have both. The thing about empathy is, one of my very best beloved friends, I've mentioned him before on the channel, Father Bob Lukey, he passed away, 10 years ago now? More than, like 15. And he was, at the time that we met, a fully ordained Jesuit priest for over 20 years, actually. And at the time that he passed, he spoke 8 different languages, was learning another, and had held several advanced degrees, but was working on his doctorate of theology through the Weston Jesuit School of Theology, which is affiliated with and partially located on the grounds of Harvard. Anyway, one thing that he always told me, and I mean, this is a man who deliberately went on mission in post-genocide Rwanda. His first church was in East St. Louis, where he would go to bed every night to the sound of gunfire. And one thing that he told me was, God is not a dick. And anyone who would put words in their mouth and say they came from God and make him sound like a dick, well, that ain't God. And Bobby, that's what I called him. Everyone, called him usually Father or whatever, but to me he was always Bobby. And Bobby, he was the truest Christian that I ever knew. I don't know how much y'all know about Jesuits, but by and large, their whole thing, besides being really well known for being very educated, like they usually spend their whole lives in study, but when they're not studying, they are living in community and choosing to live a path that is as close to that of Jesus as possible. Now, they're not saying that they are Christ-like by any means. What they're saying is that they're not going to be the ones with the big gold hat and having a big church in a wealthy city. They're going to be out there among the poorest of the poor with the people, the marginalized, as one might say from a biblical stance, the least among us. And they provide like shelter and sanctuary to those people. Now, I see all the time, stuff out there in the world like Jesus is love, right? Now me, I'm a Taoist, okay? So I don't have any skin in this game, technically. Your whole eschatological concept of heaven, hell, all of that is immaterial to me. So, before anyone tells me that I'm going to burn, maybe, I don't know what happens after death. No one really does. And what y'all got is just a best guess. But I had that on pretty damn good authority that, it's all more about your deeds than what you say. But anyway, I digress. Right. So where was I? Yeah. Bobby, Jesuits. So, the whole thing, what you do to the least among us, you do to me. That me being Jesus in that scenario. When I want to think about the idea of morality in the Christian doctrine and how it should be, the whole real what would Jesus do thing, and it's funny, notice how there has been remember how what would Jesus do used to be like a big slogan among Christians, and now it's not. I remember when my son was young, he's in his early 20s. It was a big fad. WWJD. What would Jesus do? And I haven't seen that slogan in a dog's age. And I really cannot help but think that maybe the falling focus on the message of Jesus among Christians and the increased conceptualization of the vengeful God, that right there, if you erase Jesus from y'all's Bible, well, bye-bye goes the empathy too. And I thought that the whole point of Christianity was that you use both testaments, right? The new and the old, and you focused on the new, but, again, who the hell am I? I'm just a Taoist sitting in my backyard. But anyway, the whole concept of what you do with the least amongst us, is what you do to me. Well, again, I'm a Taoist, but myself and other socially conscious, socially minded folks, I may not be black, but I'm going to be out here writing for black people. And I'm going to be listening especially to black women when they tell me, or when I overhear through, videos and other media, podcasts, etc. Oh, 1 second. So I had to have a bit of a change of venue as my son wanted to use the green home to practice his guitar and have a phone call, and it's not raining anymore. So here we are. I'm knitting by my fire pit and kind of rewinding my thoughts a little bit. So when I think about what Jesus would do, and by extension what my friend Bobby would have done in any given situation, I know that he would listen to the voices of the most marginalized. I myself am Asian American, autistic, have mental health issues, physically disabled. Queer. I hit a lot of the intersectional marginalization check marks. Just even by nature of me being female in my body, upstairs I'm pretty much genderless, but I present female. But yeah, even all of that, it's still, I have privileges and comforts that many people don't. So of course I'm always going to be listening to black women, other marginalized people, and I'm going to give a shit about them. And yeah, of course, I don't want anyone to suffer. But here's the thing. When your suffering comes as the result of immoral acts, well, that suffering is what we call consequences. And I've always been a consequence-based person, a consequence-based parent. I feel like, yeah, in the future, we are going to have to all live together. We are all going to have to somehow move forward in a society together after all of this, whatever happens next. We are going to have to find a way forward, but there's going to be consequences you're all going to have to live with. My people and other marginalized folks have been living with the consequences of y'all's actions for a long time. We still are right now. And it really pains me to think that you only care about the feelings of other people when you yourself are in pain, that you care only about the pain of other people when, well, that's the thing. You don't care about the pain of other people. One thing when I was raising my son, when he would do something, I mean, I could ask him right now, he's just right over there, is when he would do something that would upset me or that was like morally wrong, I would ask him, well, how would you feel if this was done to you? Like, even right now with things like Elon Musk and the White House, right? If George Soros were like the one holding press conferences in the Oval Office while Hillary Clinton was behind the Resolute desk, would you be cheering him on? No, y'all wouldn't. You would be like throwing out conspiracy theories and protesting in the streets and probably, invading the Capitol again. I don't know. But that's the thing. The more people you push to the fringes, and a lot of the people being pushed to the fringes for a lot of years have been people amongst you. Well, the narrower and the narrower the middle gets. And now y'all are being pushed out to the fringes here with us, and it's not comfortable. Trust me. As someone who's lived out here in Fringe City my whole life, it's never been comfortable. Pull yourself up a box. At least I've got the fire pit. You ever hear the phrase canaries in a coal mine? I see things as they go in patterns, right? Autistic people are more likely to be trans, more likely to be queer, more likely to be disabled. And y'all have been on this whole Autism Speaks anti-vax campaign to eradicate us autistics for a long time. You've also been on a quest to eradicate queer people and trans people and for a long time. And so disabled people, you don't want us around either. Mentally ill people, you would rather demonize us. I mean, how many more fringes can you make before you tatter the whole garment? And us people on the fringes, we are canaries in the coal mine, and we've been dying for a long time, and not a one of you noticed. But now you minors are starting to suffocate, and now it's a problem. So tell me, is empathy good, or is it not good? Are you moral, or are you not moral? What would Jesus have done in these situations? Would he have walked amongst the lepers, and the sex workers, and the beggars? Would he have been throwing the moneylenders out of the church? Or would he be saying, fuck you, got mine? You tell me. You tell me. Is his love unconditional, or are there conditions upon it? If he is love and he is mercy, then why are you telling us to act without empathy? And then when we have no empathy to you, why do you say, I thought that you were the people who were empathetic and kind? And it's like, do you want me to be a doormat? I'm a kind person, but even kind people have their limits. And you have been acting without morals, without scruples, without empathy for a long time. And now you want that empathy from me. I'll be civil. I'll be polite. And I don't want your kids to suffer. I don't want anyone's kids to suffer. That's the thing. I don't want anyone to suffer. So my empathy comes to a point. But moreover than empathy, what I live by are my ethics, and I don't bend on them. I live by my morals, and I don't bend on them. And I believe fully in abiding with the consequences of your choices, sitting in your discomfort, learning from that discomfort, and growing. And if that's what I expect from any human being, I expect it from you, stranger on the internet, virtual neighbor out here in my neck of the backwoods. And I would urge you to sit in your discomfort and think perhaps about how this was the consequences of your actions. And then afterward, come to me and we'll talk about empathy. Anyway, have a beautiful rest of your day, neighbors. Mabuhay. And I hope that the day finds you kind and that it smiles upon you. And I'm certainly going to be smiling upon you from here. Anyway, y'all take care, and I'll see you in the next one. For now, this is Anarchy in the 603, and I am out.